of aggressive words from the community towards FLICKR, and he is shortly going to be replaced by JackeyLove. You'd assume that they're going to pick JackeyLove over FLICKR once he is available to play. FLICKR, this is his chance to make a mark on this team.
Please don't get ahead of yourself, Munchables. We do not know if JackeyLove will come in or when JackeyLove will come in.
We know that he's coming. I have a hunch. I think that he's in quarantine right now. Well, not in quarantine, in self-isolation. And I think he'll be joining the team very shortly, and I think it'll be before playoffs. And I think top, they were #1 in my power rankings for the split. And I don't know how much I agree with those still, but hey, it looks a lot better with JackeyLove in.
I feel like for the side of Top Esports, they don't have JackeyLove in now. You have 369 on their neck, and we have the Elise. That's something we really don't need to point out. We once again see Wukong aggressing at level 1.
What is it with the Wukongs? Caster's here, though. Morgan does get to walk away. Beisheng responded.
Well, it's like we pointed out in the first game, right? You win in the extended trade. So that's why you're going for it, but we've seen it so many times now. Top have seen it so many times now. Everyone knows it's going to happen.
The Colonel is a fan of the Spartans here. 55% he reckons in favor of Top Esports on this draft. But that's because he doesn't get to see much ASOL. He doesn't get to see the master in the mid lane from Teachama. What do you expect to see here from an ASOL? Because it's not a champion that I can say I'm well versed in.
ASOL has always been about a non-interactive laning phase. So again, we're not expecting to see Knight versus Teachama. We're expecting to see Teachama get that push, get the recall, E back in on the map, and, you know, look to link up with Beisheng, find fights in bot and top lane.
Already we've got a 2v2 in the bottom side floating. Exhausted, ignited, Jomung. Good damage out of him, but they can't follow up. It's about an even trade in the end.
Yeah, coming away with actually a favorable trade on the side of top because W, of course, burning 2 summoners.
I don't know why, but the headbutt is always just funny to watch for me. FLICKR heals. They're looking for Missing. They're looking for Jomung. Forced to flash. 3 summoners for 2 in this 2v2 battle in the bottom side.
And WE were the ones who just initiated that with the headbutt. And they're the ones who come out on the losing end. They've had to blow almost every summoner. You only have Missing's flash left up, and now Missing is ending up missing out on CS, XP, and FLICKR is actually getting ahead.
Yeah, and XP is the most important part there, especially in the early levels, because he's not going to have his abilities. And Chocho can pretty happily just sit in a brush for the rest of this lane now and threaten the all-in. Jomung has to respect that now.
You know who else is threatening an all-in?
Karsa, the MVP for game number 2. 369 is pushing a huge wave underneath this tower, and Morgan, you might just be in trouble. We got a bit of monkey business headed your way.
Beisheng doesn't expect it. He's heading back down towards bot side.
Beisheng is not going to be ready. The rest of the squad, no teleports here, and he's going to be cocooned and finished. Oh no! He got the stealth. Here we go, repel. 369 can go back in. Nice little dash from Morgan. Karsa's tanking. Beisheng's here. So is the ASOL. Teachama looking for kills. Karsa's so solo. Finished off with a reckless swing. And WE turn it around.
And finishing off with the emote. Miss execution coming out from Top Esports. You typically want your Elise to start the dive because she has the repel. And we talked about how this is where Teachama excels. Keep him on these types of champions. And WE getting a first blood. WE going back to the style that they decisively beat Top with game 1.
And I love how the dive happens. Caster and 369 are under the tower. Morgan clones himself and turns invisible, and they're like, wait, he can turn invisible? We didn't factor that in.
Yeah, I don't know what they've been watching. New Wukong, obviously pretty prevalent here in the LPL.
Knock for the Beisheng. That's going to be Sleepy Trouble Bubble as well. He's so low, walking away to repel from Castle, and it's finished off by Knight. But ASOL, he's the center of the universe, and it's a second kill. This one goes to Morgan.
And this is what we love about Morgan. He's so good at just roaming around the map, setting up for his team, because if he wasn't there, that could have been very scary with Top actually having a numbers advantage without Morgan, but still ends up being a 1-for-1 on both sides. And now the carries of WE are getting big, but on the opposite side, Knight is a kill on his signature Zoe.
He certainly does. He's terrifying, but Beisheng just getting completely caught out here.
Yeah, but still the members of WE arrive in time. So here we see Morgan is here as well, hitting that Q on the ASOL. So being able to trade on the back end of that.
And it's a little bit of miscommunication there from Top, because Karsa went deep to try and finish off the kill onto Beisheng, but Knight already had it. The auto was on the way when he finished the repel, so not quite on the same page, and that's what we've been talking about. Knight and Karsa not really meshing as a duo.
Whenever me and Dagda are talking about it, it's really about them having that anti-synergy. He went through and saw all the times they tried to gank mid and fail in those mid 2v2s. It was actually really hilarious. So, but that's what we need to see top shore up. Ooh.
Flash. It's going to be a paddle star as well. It's not a real flash.
Does blow the cleanse, though, which is huge when you have something like an Elise on your team that could come look for a gank.
Karsa is going to do exactly that. He's going to clear away the chickens first and teach him up with Missing supporting him in the mid lane now. He's going to be well aware of what's going on. Missing caught out by the Spell Thief Ignite there. And now Knight just gets to push this one in. He has hit level 6. So very much has kill threat on this Zoe. He's just buying time. But Beisheng, in the meantime, is going to grab a dragon to start things off for WE. Karsa moving up to the top side.
And so far, we've really seen how these comps interact with each other, where we talked about how top wants to just play around top side, look for these aggressive picks, and really snowball through kills where...
Oh, no. Missing. You're in trouble here, buddy. Paddlestar does a lot right there. The Cocoon as well, but Missing gets a knock-up, walks away with his life, and Beisheng, he wants to capitalize. There's nowhere for you to repel to, Karsa. Beisheng gets one on the Olaf, and now Knight has to flee. Teachma's still only level 5, though. Can't actually win out a 1v1 right there.
Everything so good for top esports, but once again, WE able to punish their over-aggression. And right now, they're sitting with a slight gold lead. And it's top the ones constantly forcing the plays.
This is unbelievable. WE, once again, bringing it to top. This is what we saw in game number 1. It completely fell apart in game number 2. And the issue was Teachama's pick. Now on the ASOL, it feels like WE have got their mojo back.
But it's also weird because it's kind of like the opposite of game 1 if we think about it, because game 1 was all about WE forcing plays on the top and top responding poorly. This game, every play has been top starting it. They started the dive top. Shocho went in mid lane.
Oh, 1v1 in the top lane, Morgan. He's got the Cyclone. Will do a lot to 369, and he wins the extended trades, remember. Shreds the armor. 369 with the Dominus does walk away. He knew people were probably on the way.
And just like that play, it was 369 starting it out. So we keep seeing top try to be the aggressors, but constantly getting punished by WE.
This is such great play from WE, and in a matchup where they are the underdogs, but also a matchup where they need to get this win on the board. They're still looking towards playoffs. They've only had 10 series so far. They've got a long way to go.
Yeah, WE need this win, but moving over to, from us saying WE are playing so well, top have honestly been making all the right calls with what plays they should be looking for. They're just mis-executing or overstepping just a bit, which leads to WE coming out ahead.
And isn't that just crazy when you think about it? Because one of the biggest strengths for top is the fact that they have these individual players that mechanically are superb. When you think of Knight, you think of 369, you think of Karsa. You don't think of them making misplays, but that's what we're seeing.
And it's really coming down to these like micro decisions, like with the dive or them going so far for Missing without seeing anyone on the map for so long. So not really coming down to those mechanics, but still you have the experience and the pedigree to where you shouldn't be making these kind of mistakes. And now going to just go for the Herald. It's kind of funny to see Karsa dodge out on the Relic, but in the end it doesn't matter when 369 just walks over and says, well, we need to show, so.
Star Surge doesn't quite connect on tonight. And Beisheng moving on up. Morgan's here as well. Smite is available and it will be picked up. Karsa gets the Herald, but again, nowhere for him to fall to, and he will go down. Another kill for Morgan. I think that's his 3rd one of the game. Voice of Light actually used there. Now Celestial Expansion. Knight forced to flash away. Ragnarok has to come on through. Flashes galore, and it will be Chocho that finishes off Beisheng. Now Knight moving forward, has a flash from the Spell Thief. Actually used his own flash to get that flash.
Yeah, and great job by top ending up bringing their bot lane towards the top side, so able to kill Beisheng off of that. Still had Morgan been able to follow up, he still had his ultimate, so maybe would have been able to disengage for Beisheng to be able to get away, but still top come out with a return kill, and they're the ones with the Rift Heralds.
Now, we have to drift our eyes down towards this scoreboard here, because one of the players that's been criticized a lot on top, it's been Photic criticized and it's been Karsa criticized. Karsa is not having a good game for himself. He is 0-4-1 right now. And on the other side of the board, Beisheng, He's loving every second.
Well, and this is why when we think about Top bringing Jackie Love onto the roster, we've had this conversation, will they become a title contender? And I feel like the answer is still no until Karsa does start performing consistently, which we talked about. A lot of the calls, the general calls they've made this game have been right. Where they should be focusing is right. The plays they want to go about forcing have been right, but it's always a bit of an overstep, or with that Herald, I think slightly at the wrong time, not bringing someone like Chocho up to help defend that play.
Yeah, it does feel like a lot of it is down to kind of synergy issues, team-based issues. Oh, that is unfortunate for Karsa. Loses out on the crab. Chomung, more than happy with that one. Gets a bonus 100 gold there from the crab. Drake coming up, though. WE, they got the first one. They'd love an Infernal Drake.
And so good by Teacherma, constantly being able to push with this ASOL. It's the one thing ASOL is great at because of his passive, just constantly pushing out the mid lane, so always being able to move, and we see him hovering bot side river now, so Beishan can look for this Drake. And when we look at scaling, it does look like Top should come out ahead in that department with things like the Xayah and the Zoe. But still, if W can get to Soul Point, you're going to have something like an Ocean Soul, which would be massive, or a Mountain Soul. That's going to be huge.
It certainly would be. Mountain Soul would be phenomenal, especially with an Alistair.
And against an elite Zoe and a Renekton.
Yeah, a lot of burst there. Morgan forces 369 out. This ASOL, though, I want to see how this is going to work as we move on into the game. We talked about it a little bit. We talked about how... Ooh, Votic having to dodge away from the Star Surge. We talked about how in the laning phase, Teachuma, he can just force out the mid wave and start to roam with his Comet of Legend, get to the other lanes. What happens in the mid game? How do you play the ASOL at that point?
You want to continuously look to do the same thing. Once turrets go down, it is still just about grouping up as like 4 or 5, getting that numbers advantage and forcing that way. But that's why when we go to the, like what the Colonel thought, right? He thinks Top wins in the long run, because if we get to these straight 5v5 team fights, the consistent DPS you're going to have out from the Xayah, and Zoe's going to do so much more in these fights than the ASOL is going to feel very good.
Oh, Photic, his ult is on cooldown, and Beisheng is here, missing with the level 6. He's got his Unbreakable Will. They're not going to go for the dive. Caster is nearby. He was spotted out by a ward. I feel like they could have gone for that anyway, but maybe I'm just a little too aggressive.
Yeah, not going for that. Of course, the members of Top do have TP, so they would be able to match if WE went to force a play on bot side.
WE going to be under trouble in the top lane here. Morgan and 369 trading, and that's the trade that 369 wants, these short bursts. That's how he wins against a Wukong.
Yeah. And speaking of the Wukong and WE's comp in general, it's really going to need a lot of heavy lifting from Knight and Photic in the mid and late game for them to be able to win, because we look at these big frontliners like the Alistar and the Wukong, and people like the Renekton and the Elise are not going to be able to cut it against them.
Star Surge there in the mid lane just to clear things up, and it will mean that Knight's going to miss a wave there, but actually does return to the mid lane. I thought we were going to have a bit of a skirmish, but both teams back away in the end. Jomon pretty low on mana, so I don't expect much to be happening in the bottom side of the map, but he's getting ready to recall. He's going to have a lot of gold because he's on the BF sword, but he's on a good amount of CS here. And you can see that. Just going to use the bullet time onto the minion wave, means that he can get the reset for himself. Chocho looked like he wanted to go for a play there, but I don't know about just forcing a 2v2 for the sake of it.
We know Chocho wanted to go for a play there.
Chocho always wants to go for a play. So does Karsa. He's up in this top side. He's trying to sneak his way through the lane. Morgan.
I don't think you win this 2v2 at this point. Already have the Black Cleaver coming out from Morgan as well.
Yeah, I mean, the scoreboard says it all, right? 2-0-1, 2-2-1 up against 0-0-1 and 0-4.
But look at your mini-map. Chocho is heading up.
Chocho, we said he wants to make the plays. He wants to be here. Morgan pushes up very aggressively. Missing's going to be here too. Teleport now channeled by Knight. Morgan's in trouble. Cyclone onto 2. There's a lot of damage available from Beisheng. Flashes galore. Morgan gets another knockup, but he's ignited. Surely finished? Yeah, it will go down in the end. Chocho gets it. It's a close fight, but in the end, Top come out on top. And now moving towards this tower.
Yeah, so great job by Top to find that pick, but Jomung is going to get some free time to the turret in the bot lane, but still Photic not going to fall too far behind, and we should expect for top to be able to get this turret first.
And it feels like both teams are a lot more nervous. In fact, no, it's going to be Jomung that gets the tower first here. Gets the local gold for himself. Top answers that one. And isn't it interesting, the difference between the styles of these two teams? Knight has been the one getting the plate gold every single game. He's been the one getting the first turret gold as well. And it's Jomung on the other side. Teleport now.
Whoa!
Missing gets massively chunked out, but the Herald resets. The whole squad is here from top. Pings in the mid lane from WE, though. They want to just try and trade this for a mid tower if they can. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it quick enough, though.
Nope, WE not able to pressure that, of course, with Morgan having to catch the wave in the top side, and Beishang just moving over to his red buff, so top actually coming out ahead in this exchange, being able to pick up this Herald, and this is what we're going to need to see with them. We've seen what they wanted to do, right? They want to pull WE across the map, look for these picks. We've seen them consistently play around their solo lanes especially when they have double TP as compared to the Asol, who has the cleanse. So we want to see Top Esports keep pulling them apart, looking for these picks with their single target CC, and they've done a good job of that the past few minutes.
And part of the reason that you'll see Asol going with the cleanse is obviously his E, Comet of Legend. He can fly a long way across the map.
Doesn't need the TP.
Doesn't need the TP, but the Herald used effectively. That's going to be the mid lane broken open by top here. So ultimately, they win the trade of towers that we saw. It was a tier 1 in the bot and the top traded, but top because of the Herald. Top Esports, that is. It does get confusing when you're talking about lanes with Top Esports. Now Dragon, though. This would be the third one for WE. Missing. He's found a flank onto Chocho. Not the ideal target, though.
Yeah, right now, Teacherma and Jomung are in the mid lane, so not able to follow up. The important thing to watch will be Photic on the side of top and Jomung for WE, because those are the consistent DPS for these teams.
They can burst this Dragon very, very quickly with an Olaf and an MF, but Karsa's here to try and fight for the smite. It goes the way of Jomung in the end. There's nowhere for Karsa to go. Flashes over the wall. Beishang takes a chunk, but in comes Missing, and he's disrupting everyone. Chocho goes down. Photic barely survives. The Cyclone not quite able to finish him, but the Q will. Knight has to run for his life. He's on the Zoe, he's out of mobility, and Morgan's closing the gap. He's going to fall for sure. Trouble Bubble's not enough because the Celestial expansion is expanding WE's presence in this game.
Great flank coming out from Missing, and Teacherma showing us why he's so coveted on this Asol, and Karsa not having a good game.
Karsa is falling apart right now, and the rest of top are collapsing alongside him. This is all going the way of WE when it comes to the Dragons. They're on Soul Point, and the team fights, most importantly, all the way of WE.
And we just see here Karsa trying to get the Dragon, doesn't, has to go out, and Missing coming to such a clutch flank, hitting Knight right in the middle of WE, having to flash out, and all the CC being layered. Morgan being the clutch member here, jumping in with that ultimate, knocking so many members up. Teacherma coming in with that Asol, showing us why it's his signature pick. Did end up picking up that kill on Knight at the end of that.
And bear in mind, Asol is the kind of champion that builds Rod of Ages first. This isn't his strongest point in the game. This isn't even when Asol's that good. So just wait until he's got 2-3 items. That's when we'll see Teacherma really hammering home.
Asol very much is a kind of mid-game champion. That is when you're at your strongest point. So going to be interesting to see what WE can do now. And we've talked about scaling for both teams, but with Photic falling behind and Jomung getting ahead, we already see the item advantage now almost sitting at that IE for him, while Photic just having that Cloak of Agility. These team fights are going to be pretty one-sided for WE.
They really are. And I feel like we're finally seeing the strength of this Wukong pick into Renekton. It's that you can kind of force him out in lane a little bit in the right circumstance, but then when it comes to these fights, you have a similar, if not better, presence in the team fights because of that ultimate.
Oh, you have a much better presence in those team fights from what we can see. If you can land that ultimate, really get in the middle of the fight, it's just so important.
Trouble Bubble onto Missing, but there's absolutely no follow-up here. And isn't it just a pleasure to see these two signature picks in the mid lane? Knight Zoe up against Teacherma's Asol. We get to see the real intricacies of each champion.
And aren't we in a familiar place watching a top esports game, seeing everything on Knight's shoulders?
Yeah, we've been here before.
Because Karsa's not in the game anymore. He's 0-5 on an Elise.
Karsa is a large spider-like minion at this point. He's basically mini Valmont.
Pretty much less than a minion, only more valuable in the sense that he's a cocoon, right?
Less than a minion. Whew.
He's 0-5-2 on an Elise.
I still feel like you do more than a minion does. Minions don't do a lot, dude.
Okay. You have a cocoon. But still, we see that Beishang's a whole item ahead of him on the Olaf.
Well, right now he needs to go inside of that cocoon, transform, metamorph into something a little bit more significant in this game. He's nearly level 11, which I actually have no idea how much of a power spike that is for Elise. What does leveling the ult on Elise do?
Look, you're a level 11 Elise, it means nothing. But on the side of 369, you're a level 12 Renekton, which also actually doesn't mean too much, especially when you're behind. His job is to create space for Knight in these team fights. I would say Photic because they did bank on him by picking him this late game carry.
Well,
but
I mean, they didn't really get to pick what they wanted for him, remember? When we look back to the draft,
they had first pick.
Bands.
First pick,
True.
They could have taken this champion. They
True.
chose not to.
They could have gone for the misfortune themselves. They
It's his
did not
most
prioritize it.
It's his most played champion.
And the priorities for top, ironically, well, not even ironically, coincidentally, I guess, have never been around the bottom lane. And it's reflected in the draft this game. And it's been a struggle. It has to be said. Beishang has done a really good job of catching every single trouble bubble that Knight has thrown this game. He's like a magnet to them.
Knight's just super good hitting all those skill shots. Again, a lot of the pressure's on his back, but whatever this graph is highlighting, Morgan has done a great job on this Wukong.
My lord, that is a star search right there, but can't find a target for it, unfortunately. For anyone that's never seen ASOL before, which I think is pretty possible for our viewers, that's his Q. The longer he's on it, the further it travels and the bigger it is. Voice of Light onto Photic here. That's the slow with the Cyclone to follow it up. Does get the Feather Storm to pull himself to safety, and Morgan is in trouble, but he's going to survive for now. Karsa, desperate to get into the fight. 369 in the backline. He's teleported, but he's exhausted. And there's so much damage coming out from the ASOL from Jomung as well. Beishang keeps the rest of the team at bay. WE win out the fight here. 369 forced away. Karsa's low. And this would be the soul if WE can get this dragon. It's just spawned. Knight has to do so much work on this Zoe if they want to contest. Morgan forced away. Oh, Jomung, what was that damage from Knight? Without even getting the bubble.
Everything is on him landing these paddle stars.
He's going for it, looking for missing. That's going to be a trouble bubble, and it means trouble for missing. Now, top, they might just be able to get this dragon for themselves. In fact, WE conceded.
Like, Knight single-handedly got them this dragon by chunking out Jomung and killing missing. Single-handedly. Was such an interesting fight to start off with. Teacherma using that ult to slow, I think it was Chocho, and eventually pick up that kill. No, he used it on Knight. Slow Knight, but still ended up killing Chocho. And we saw the damage on the ASOL once 369 TP'd in, but in the end, doesn't matter. Knight's on his best pick, and they at least delay the soul for a little longer.
And part of that fight, we see the strength of Xayah, how safe of an AD carry it is for Photic, because right at the very start, they aggress onto Photic, but he's able to hold on to his Featherstorm, jumps up into the air, survives the fight, and it means that Knight is given the freedom to take over.
Yeah, so great play by top, kind of in a really unfortunate circumstance with how this early game has went, and they're still able to hold on. And that's where the game should go from here, where I feel like if you're top, it's about getting that vision or even just allowing WE to go on that objective, laying down all that poke.
Oh, we've got a 1v1 between our top laners here. Dominus comes through, Cyclone to match it, but Morgan is not winning this one at all. Has to use the Warrior Trickster, but he's all out of abilities. He's all out of time. 369 wants to finish it off. Can't close the gap. Morgan walks away, but only just.
Yep. 369, of course, having that Blade of the Rune King with that 12% current HP damage, being massive in that 1v1. And we've talked about many times, Wukong's late game damage just isn't the same as it used to be.
Teacherma having to stop the blue buff from cancelling the recall there, but it also means that he can't do any damage because he's ASOL and he needs to be a certain distance away from the blue buff. Oh dear.
Hey, being a true bro.
I know, what a hero. What a
hey,
hero. But that is Teacherma, right?
That was how you were describing him.
Literally, Teacherma is the ultimate bro in the mid lane. Like, he always just leaves the lane, sacrifices CS to help the rest of the team. It's what we see on his Pantheon. And it's what we're seeing here as he sacrifices a small amount of damage in order to let Morgan recall. What a hero.
And him and Morgan have really been the big players on this team.
Ooh, Knight has to use his real flash on that one to get out of the fight. Uncharacteristic of Knight to be caught out.
You're in such an awkward position as WE2 because 369 is bot, but you really don't have the DPS to force the Baron and threaten and engage on the top.
Well, they're going to just try and muscle in on towards this tower because they see 369
Whoa!
is miles away. What a pulverized bullet time across the team. And what a fight for WE. Karsa, for the 19th time this game, goes up and back into the team. Flashes out. And now on towards this Baron. There's a lot of damage from WE.
And Missing is having such a good game as well. And Missing has been such a question mark on these all-in champions, things like the Leona, where he was typically going in a bit too far, and that's why we love seeing him on champions like Thresh that don't need to commit. But this Alistar has been absolutely beautiful.
This is questionable, though, from WE. Someone's got a recall because the inhibitor is under pressure from 369. Knight and Karsa are here. They're looking for a steal. They're looking for a play. Karsa goes in way too early.
What?
Oh, but Knight gets it! Knight 1v9 here, steals the Baron.
And they're able to pressure bot inhibitor with this as well. Knight, oh.
Knight, he's a monster. He's an absolute machine on the Zoe. Takes the Baron, setting his team up. The inhib tower might go down to the minions. No, it's saved just.
I can't believe that happened.
All I can say is Knight. That's the only word I've got left. Oh, stun down. Onto 369 here. That's a lot of damage coming out from this Asol, but Teachamar, Voice of Light, to try and keep himself safe, flashes away. Morgan's here as well. They turned it into something beautiful. Chocho, grand entrance across the wall. Missing wants the flash. He wants to make the play. Hex flash over. There's a blast cone, but he doesn't see it. Doesn't matter.
Whoa!
Bullet time comes through. Boating's down. Chocho's nowhere to go. Double for Jomong. WE, we said they need to find their mojo. They've well and truly found it.
This game is actually insane. Knight keeping them in the game, but WE don't stop. They keep their foot on the gas pedal, and especially Missing being so clutch with this Alistar just keeps finding the engages that they need.
WE say, who needs Baron? We'll just fight you instead. Great play from Teachamar as well. Catching them out, going for the play. Knows he has his Voice of Light to keep himself safe. And Karsa's like, you know what? Well, at least they get a red buff out of this.
And now they're going to be able to set up for this dragon, and Photic is not going to be up in time for top to challenge. He's going to be up, but not going to be there.
Yeah, Karsa's nowhere near as well. This is going to be the Dragon Soul. It has to be. I don't see a way that they don't get this one. Jomong has so much damage. Chocho spots it out on a ward, but it's cancelled by the control ward. That's the Soul. That makes Knight's job so much harder, especially when he's caught out, stunned up, and finished off by Teachamar. The Asol beats the Zoe.
You know, the confusing part was they already knew they were going to have to give the dragon up. So why were they posturing there in the first place to even try to think about contesting?
I don't know, but Knight, he's desperate to make the plays here, but in this intergalactic matchup between the Zoe... Oh, here we go. 369 just about gets away with his life there. In this intergalactic matchup between the Zoe and the Asol. It is the Asol that's winning out right now.
I also want to say, kind of taking a few steps back, had Chocho been able to steal that dragon with his Q, I don't care about how the game ends. I don't care who wins. Chocho gets the MVP just if he was able to do that. But sadly that didn't happen, so it actually doesn't matter.
Instead, it's going to be Knight stealing away the Baron. And it's been such a valiant attempt from Knight. He's tried so hard.
I feel like instead it's going to be Teachamar stealing away his life.
Yeah. And it's going to be WE stealing away the series at this rate. But bear in mind, it's 17-4 on the scoreboard. But look at the gold difference. 3,500. How is it so close between these two teams?
Yeah, WE just haven't been able to capitalize really turning these kills into turrets, right? We're still at 4 for 4. But the thing that's kind of scary is with this Mountain Soul, with that shield, does Knight have the damage to just burst someone down? It does look like he's going towards that death cap. Maybe at that point he does, but right now I don't think so.
Still a little ways away. Does have a good amount of magic pen, though, with his boots, with the Morellonomicon, so at least he'll be able to get through some of the base magic resist and the Merc Treads that are coming through. Ooh, Knight takes a massive chunk from Jomong there. Now 369 could be in trouble. Dodges away from the Star Surge, though. Keeps himself safe.
It's surprising Acel does so much damage. We just saw he only has 300 AP right now, but he's really cutting them down.
Yeah. He is 4-0-10. Has a couple of items, a lot of CDR. But he's got 10 stacks on a Dark Seal as well.
Yeah. He's pretty far ahead. And moving over to the other side, Knight also doing pretty well, but looking at Karsa, it's still not looking pretty.
Look at the AD carry difference in gold right now.
Look at the
4,
jungle difference.
Yeah, the jungle difference as well.
Oh, those are the two big ones, right?
And that is where the gold lead is. You've just seen it visualized. It's in the bottom lane, it's in the jungle. Jomung, we've said it before, he's often the focus for WE. They play around him because he loves to be aggressive. He loves to make these plays happen. WE, they turn him into a strength. Because we've seen him caught out. We've seen him have bad series for himself. But when the team plays around him so beautifully, they set him up for success.
And going forward, WE's composition doesn't really have a way to siege. So looking at the 10 champions we have in this game, it's really going to come down to one deciding team fight for this game to actually end.
Which feels very reminiscent of game number 1. They didn't really have a way to siege, but
Yep.
they kind of just forced the fight, forced the play instead. And that feels just very WE in general.
True, so it's going to either come down to this Baron, and we should expect WE to be able to get the setup down. They have all the pressure across the map. They should be able to set a vision. Will top look to contest now, or will they just say, hey, we're going to wait for the Elder Drake? That's what really matters.
And just look, we keep talking about how Knight is the win condition for top. He's the one that needs to try and find a pick. Obviously, Xayah will come online later on. She does have 3 items, so she's going to start to hit hard. But look at the itemization from WE. GA on Beishun, Banshee's Veil on Teachama, and then you've got a QSS on top of all of that for Joma. Who does Knight even focus?
Yeah, it feels like there's no good options. And again, you have to do this. You have to kind of just allow WE to set up where they want first and just hope your poke can stick and that you can win like the war of attrition.
That's what they'll be hoping for, but that becomes even harder against this Mountain Drake. Oh, Morgan's found a flank. Morgan's found a 3-man cyclone. The rest of the team barrels in. Chocho's still alive. Nobody going down just yet. Carson flashes over, but 2 drop immediately. The GA pays dividends for Beishun. And now they're straight into the mid lane. Knight, he's been found by Missing. He's CC'd up, and he can't escape. Missing 1v3, but he's happy to do that. He'll trade his life for the entire base of top any day of the week because WE are pushing on in. WE are making the playoff run, and WE find the upset over top Esports.
Can you imagine being in the shoes of Teacher Ma right now, being the rookie to